Actually streaming. Oh, and recording on Audacity, because I know how to run a podcast.
I am also recording. Hold on, I need to
It looks like we
turn up my recording volume a little bit. There we go.
We are live on YouTube, and we are live on Twitch, I think.
I'm about to get Twitch up so I can take a peek. Yep.
All right. Oh, that's right. And my chat still isn't working right. Let's switch to our faces. Hello. Oh my gosh, Maya keeps blurring in and out of Jack's hands. You can see her curled up there. Jack needs a kitten.
At least she gets a Varen.
That's true.
Hi, Yuri Cat. Can she hear us? I still don't see our faces. Oh, there we go. It's just a nice little delay on Twitch.
There's always like a 6-second delay. To make sure if anything crazy happens, you can try and stop it. Where is my restream chat?
Oh my god. Oh.
Whoops. No, don't do that.
I'm like trying to prop it up so I can see the chat. Someday maybe I'll have like a fancy 2-monitor setup like I have for my job. But like for my personal life, mainly this.
Yeah.
Hi, Apollo. And my sister.
Muffiny cake. Hello, Muffin. Hello, Apollo.
Hello, Pulpit.
Hello, Puppet.
I just want to say, everybody, that my background is brought to you by Cloudy Atlas once again, because she is the most talented.
Legit amazeballs.
Yay.
Oh, good job. You didn't fall over and your chair didn't collapse.
No. My chair has pretty good arms. Wouldn't let me fall out. It's like a bucket chair. More like an armchair.
Armchair expert.
It's one of my favorite podcasts. Besides this one, obviously.
Okay. Resizing just a little bit of stuff. I think. Oh yeah, we look good. Sounds look good. Everything is awesome.
Yeah, we would have started this a few minutes ago if we once again didn't have stupid audio issues. Every single time we're like, Jen's got the settings right. It's like, I'm not even blaming you. I'm blaming the settings. Like they just decide they won't work anymore. So then you have to find their new
right. But that's the thing is that I just had to I restarted the program that I use for audio for multiple audio levels, and that worked. And it's just like, why? I talk every damn day in Discord and it works just fine. But then it's like, oh, you want to do a podcast? Fuck you.
I'm going to be professionals. Apollo, 2 minutes late is pretty damn good.
That's the thing. We were like 10 minutes early today.
We were, yeah, like we would have been way more late if we sat down when we normally do, which is like right before we're supposed to start.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, Kefir.
Okay. Oh. Crap, my neck just popped a lot. That felt good.
I wish mine would. Oh.
I can see cat hair coming off.
I know. That's the benefit of having a black cat. I never get to see his fur. I feel it. I can never find it.
Oof. It might be worse.
It drives me mad. I'm like, where is the fur on my face? It's tickling me. Apollo, we're going to talk about Forbidden West later. Or tomorrow, probably, because I'm going to be tired after this. He said he finished it.
Oh, Cloudy did too, and she had major thoughts.
Mm.
Okay. Are we ready to do a podcast?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Why does that look weird? Things off. Ah, stop it. Stop it, stop it, stop it. There we go. That's better. Okay. Here we go. Hello, hello, and welcome back to another episode of Two Girls, One Ship, the podcast where we analyze, rate, and review all that the world of video game romances has to offer. I'm Genesis, the girl who started creating a Mass Effect town in Sims 4, because I think I might have an addiction.
And I'm Pravada, the girl who wants to see your episode of Intervention when it comes out. I, however, am an enabler, which is why we have this podcast in the first place.
Oh, and I have watched several seasons of Intervention and Addiction, so yeah, I could see a gaming addiction episode. I might be on it. But as always, we get up close and personal with each of our character breakdowns. So if you're looking for a spoiler-free zone, sorry, lovelies, you are in the wrong place.
So here's your fucking spoiler alert.
Thanks, N7, for the spoiler alert. The only person I know to be ninja-manced by today's subject.
Ooh. Quickly before we start, though, major trigger warning for discussions on child abuse, sexual, physical, and psychological torture, and just general terrible shit. Today's subject's past is not pretty, and probably more swearing than in our normal episodes. If you haven't guessed already, today's episode is on Jack from Mass Effect 2.
I figure every time someone dies and it's not me, my chances of survival go up. Simple.
Jack, also known as Subject Zero, is probably one of the most powerful human biotics alive. She's a notorious criminal whose past crimes include murder, piracy, kidnapping, and vandalism. She is a romance option for male shepherd only, despite having recorded lines for both options. More on this later. But, like many biotically gifted humans, the direction of her early life was not a choice she was allowed to make. She was born in 2161, but she was abducted from Eden Prime by Cerberus in 2165, at the age of 4.
Too young. As with all early human biotics, Jack's biotic potential was the result of accidental element 0 exposure whilst in the womb. Jack's biotic potential was much greater than the average human, though, and she became Cerberus's prime test subject on Pragia's Telton facility, where they tortured her and other children to increase her biotic abilities. Like any Cerberus operation, it was ruthlessly efficient, lavishly funded, and morally and ethically indifferent. They tested biotic enhancements on the other children. If they were fatal, they didn't give them to Jack. But if they were successful, Jack was then forcibly enhanced.
Part of the training, if you could call it that, was psychological and physical torture, with the idea that exposure to pain led to greater biotic abilities, and also to test how stress affected her abilities. She was kept in a cell with a one-way window out into the rest of the facility. She could see everyone, but no one could see her. She was so isolated that she would scream herself hoarse, trying to be noticed. She believed the whole world was what she could see outside of her window. In a way, it was. This was one method Cerberus employed to physiologically and psychologically abuse Jack.
This should be obvious, but socially isolated children grow up to be depressed and anxious adults, and Jack is no different. Jack lives in a constant state of survival, feeling desperately alone but terrified of being used and abused again. When she was at the Cerberus facility, the staff would force her to fight the other biotic children, shocking her when she refused and injecting her with narcotics when she complied. They conditioned a Pavlovian response in Jack where she felt euphoric when she fought. I don't think I can overstate how terrible this is.
Even as an adult, Jack can still get tingly feelings reminiscent of the drugs Even as an adult, Jack can still get tingly feelings reminiscent of the drugs when she uses her biotic abilities. Jack eventually escaped, and for many years she lived a life of frequent crime and infrequent associations. She ran with gangs, became a pirate, and even stole a space station just to crash it into a Hanar moon, which the Hanar call vandalism for whatever reason. At one point, she was in a cult, which is apparently where her shaved head comes from. Eventually, her illegal exploits caught up to her, and she was imprisoned on the Blue Sun's prison ship, Purgatory. Jack continued to be victimized here, where both prisoners and guards alike attacked her and raped her. Jack managed to murder every one of her abusers, but this led her to being imprisoned in cryostasis.
Her recruitment mission sends you to Purgatory, and as you walk towards the back of the prison, you get a sense of how harsh this place is. You witness prisoners being beaten and begging you to take them with you, even as a slave. Once people find out you're there for Jack, however, they quickly want to stay put. Jack is, according to Warden Curel, the meanest handful of violence and hate he's ever met. After he tricks you into a locked room because Jack is just too valuable to give up, Shepard and company break out and go looking for Jack. Jack's establishing character moment is emerging from cryostasis, pissed off and ripping her restraints off, just to cut through 3 mechs like wet cardboard and go on a rampage, killing anyone in her way. Psychotic biotic indeed. Once you catch up to her, she doesn't want to go with you at first.
What the hell do you want?
My name is Shepard, and I'm here to get you off this ship.
I'm not going anywhere with you. You're Cerberus.
Why does it matter if I'm with Cerberus?
They've been on my ass for years. Anytime I get free, they put a huge bounty on me. That's why Warden Curel figured he'd struck gold when he caught me.
She's destroyed Cerberus property and killed Cerberus people. Hence the bounty.
You die first.
If you've listened to our Miranda episode, you know that Jack and Miranda are foils to one another. Both had outside forces manipulating their natures to try and craft the most perfect versions of themselves against their will. However, the way it conditioned to them into adulthood shows very differently. Miranda is focused on perfection and control, whereas Jack is focused on survival and avoiding further victimhood. Cerberus is important to both characters, but for opposite reasons. For Miranda, Cerberus was a way to freedom and agency away from her father. But for Jack, it meant imprisonment, fear, and abuse. Jack took what Cerberus refined and now wields her power and aggression to reassure herself that she will never be powerless again.
Miranda and Jack's relationship has a lot of tension, which creates interesting stories and chemistry between characters. Not necessarily sexual tension, although we shouldn't rule that out for them. For Miranda, admitting that Cerberus tortured children, and especially Jack, would mean tarnishing her perfect world and ruin the one thing that gave her freedom, Cerberus. Miranda even calls Jack a mistake, suggesting she was a failed science experiment, whereas Miranda was a success. Jack is everything she hates. Jack shoves imperfections in your face, can't control her emotions, openly flaunts her base desires, and has no tact, to say the least. It's easy to look at Jack and immediately dislike her, and that is exactly the point.
Jack is the definition of an ice queen, but a paragon shepherd, or at least a shepherd who doesn't always make the renegade choices, can turn Jack into a defrosting ice queen. Jack's entire persona is driven out of fear dressed as anger. Everything she does is to ensure that she will never be a victim again. This is why it's so difficult to get close to her initially in the game, because so far, every time she's allowed anyone past her thorny exterior, they've used her. A notable exception is a past lover who sacrificed himself for her, leaving her with survivor's guilt. That only further cemented her conviction to never get close to someone again.
There's no reason I should be alive, but I am. You know why? Instinct. It's worked for me so far, and I'm not gonna change. Hey, Shepard. No one's ever asked me about this shit. It's strange to talk about. So fuck you. And thanks for asking.
Jack truly cannot comprehend someone getting to know her for any other reason than trying to get something out of it. Jack believes the galaxy is only out for themselves, and so is she, because being lonely and alive is better than being naive and dead. Pretty early in Shepard and Jack's budding friendship, there is an opportunity to have sex with Jack if you are a male Shepard. This is considered the renegade romance, although it's only a sex scene. Jen, take us away with this scene's breakdown.
You eyeing me up? Because if this is just about sex, maybe you should just fucking say so.
I'd be lying if I said no. You're different.
Figured. People always want something. Well, what? Right now, then?
All right, Jack. I like how you move.
I bet you do.
I bet you do. And wow, do they hit the ground running on this one. If you want a wham bam thank you ma'am side quest, this is right up your alley. When Shep says he likes the way that Jack moves, he grabs her by the waist and pulls her in close, chest to chest. When Jack responds with, I bet you do, she shoves him back hard enough to slam him into a wall. Even her biotics flare for a moment. She follows through with a rough and intense kiss. She leaves him temporarily stunned and backs up, intentionally knocking things off of the tables. Shepard stalks forward and clears off more surface areas. Jack says, come here, and nimbly jumps up, grabs his shoulders, wraps her legs around his waist, and executes a perfect takedown. Now straddling the bro with his back on the table, she licks his face. Fuck yeah. And then continues to kiss all over his chest and neck. They play a little more intense version of the Miranda domination game of who will end up on top. On the table, up against the wall, on the floor, every inch of Jack's below deck area was covered. And while the scene in my head isn't over, Jack is seen throwing her head back in passion as it fades to black. So, a solid 7 out of 10 for a good, fun fuck. I would also like to note that Kasumi heard it all. If you speak to her after that encounter, she will suggest turning down Jack's biotic implants before you hook up with her again, because Cerberus probably can't afford to build another Normandy. But doing this option means that the romance cannot continue. In fact, Jack refuses to speak to Shepard anymore, telling him that there is nothing to talk about any time a conversation is attempted. It's also not a repeatable mission. So I guess Kasumi doesn't have to worry about round 2. For obvious reasons, we will move forward as if we didn't take this option. This is what the full scene sounds like if you don't take the Rena fuck option.
I have to go, but we should do this again.
Wait. My turn with the questions. People usually walk by now. Why are you really asking all these things? Are you eyeing me up? Because if this is just about sex, maybe you should just fucking say so.
I'm in no hurry. I want to know what makes you tick first.
You don't need to know someone to sleep with them. You just have to know where to put it. Okay, maybe we'll talk later. Maybe not.
Oh. Normally, saying a Paragon line gives you an expected response. Something along the lines of, "Oh wow, Shepard, you're so noble and heroic and right." But with Jack, if you tell her you're there to save her on Purgatory, she'll call you a pussy. Here, when you tell her you want something true and genuine, she refutes it angrily, because with Jack, everything is the opposite. She is inherently different from the other squad mates, not because the rest of them have had trauma-free lives, but because Jack's trauma has given her a psychotic, skewed version of the world in her formative years. Shepard is literally the first person in her life to care for her genuinely, unless you're not, and you sleep with her immediately, aka use her, just like all the rest. I think that's why the Renegade sex scene is so aggressive. She's pissed. She knows Shepard is using her, so she's using him too, to get out her anger at everyone. I suppose some people do like rough sex, but I don't think Jack actually likes it. I think it's what she's used to, and also a reason why she's always expecting the worst from people. No one's ever actually cared for her.
This brings us to her loyalty mission. To try and work through her past trauma, Jack will request that Shepard and company help her set a bomb inside her old cell on Pragia and blow up the Tetlin research facility. While you're there making your way through the facility, there is increasing evidence that the way Jack remembers escaping the facility is not exactly what happened. Jack believes that one day, everyone just started to attack her. Staff, other biotic children, just everyone. And she beat them all and escaped because she was the toughest. That's not exactly true. The other children were used to protect Jack from experiments because Jack had the strongest biotic potential, and they escaped before Jack. The staff were instructed not to hurt her under any circumstance during the riot. But Jack remembers starting the riot and everyone attacking her. This is likely due to trauma.
Trauma, to get a little science-y, affects the hippocampus, or the part of your brain responsible for creating and recalling episodic memory, and can make memories disjointed and segmented. It can also prevent information, like words, images, sounds, etc., from different parts of the brain from combining to make a semantic memory. Jack's memory of the event is her truth, but it is not the truth. This is just another symptom of her torture and abuse at the hands of Cerberus. Once you've secured Jack's loyalty, a male Shepard can continue to flirt and talk to her to try and cement the romance. Jack has been around the block a few times, and her constant state of survival has her suspicious as hell of these kinds of advances.
Hey,
What's happening?
you got a lot of questions, don't you?
I miss your friendly nature when you're not around.
Been thinking. We've seen a lot of shit together now, and you're always coming to talk to me. Shepard, you got feelings for me? Because I don't need the complication.
Yes. Freaks you out, doesn't it?
Leave me alone, Shepard. I don't want this.
You're lying.
Don't tell me what I feel. I've been here before and I know what I need. For me. Go away. I don't want you coming around here for a while.
God, those lines hit hard. Oh. Letting Shepard in means being vulnerable, which is something that absolutely terrifies Jack. Remember, she has no precedence for a genuine relationship outside of the one man who sacrificed himself to save her, which she believes was stupid of him to do. He had loved her, and it's that love that makes her believe it's a mistake. She says that when you feel, you get sloppy. The death is a simple on-off switch. But survivor's guilt burrows into her and refuses to let go. She's being eaten alive by fear and regret. She's lived with so much pain, and she's so afraid to love Shepard because she is wrought with fatalistic thinking. She thinks it will end in pain or death or both.
But before we knock down the remainder of Jack's wall, we're going to take a mid-break so we can thank our patrons and you can hear about some of the sponsors of our show.
I need to move. Take an actual. All right. Stretch. Stretch. Okay. Water. I have learned that I need both water and alcohol, because if I only drink alcohol, then I get a little tipsy by the end, and I'm like, follow us on the fucking Discord, y'all. Oh. Time for some fun facts. According to Jack's Shadow Broker dossier, she writes poetry under the pseudonym Jacqueline Knott, which is a play on a feminized version of her name, Jack, and subject zero, because Knott is an English word that means zero. And it's the last name I used for her Sims character.
Oh, you need to send screenshots of the Sims characters in the Discord.
I did. Oh, I put it in a different one. But yes, I will add that to the Sims chat that we have on our personal Discord server.
Sweet. Also, Jack was originally intended to be a pansexual romance option. Just in case someone in the audience is unaware, pansexuality means that your sexual choices are not limited to biological sex, gender, or gender identity. It's not that different from bisexuality, but pansexuality is essentially attraction based on anything other than sex, gender, or gender identity, whereas bisexuality is an attraction to one or more genders. Some might describe being pan as just being attracted to people. Jack will make some references in-game to how she's been with partners of varying genders in the past, as her sexuality was removed from the game late in development. I think it's a true shame, honestly.
It is a shame. Removing it makes no sense to me. What? I'm muted. Damn it.
How did you get muted? You never mute.
Well, yeah, fuck. See, that's why I don't mute. It is a shame. Removing it makes no sense to me, and not putting it back in for the Legendary Edition makes even less sense. Same with Jacob. It shouldn't have been removed, and it should have made it into Legendary Edition. They even left the lines in about Jack's ex-girlfriend. Why leave that in if you're cutting that aspect out of her persona? But now it's time to do something much more pleasant than thinking about deleted scenes. And it's time to thank our patrons. A big, big, big ass thank you to Commander Shenko, Meiji Moose, Apollo, and Toasty. Hearts to you hopeless romantics. If you want a weekly shout out or would like to join our monthly patron chats, or even throw these two girls a few bucks a month to supply the wine fund, come and find us by going directly to patreon.com/2girls1ship.
Yes, please and thank you. I need more wine. All right, let's get into our favorite part of the episode, the romance analysis.
You know what it's like to think you're alone and find out you're not?
Pretty much, yeah.
You don't have to agree so fast, you fucker.
It just makes you giggle.
Yeah, I know. Everything she says is comedic. Oh my god, Maya.
She's been here.
Look at her. I just noticed her. Oh, it's like she's just this cat, like, popped up in the background. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, back to Jack. After this interaction, Jack doesn't talk about your relationship again until the end. As she mentioned, she needed time to think. This is all so new to her. Even just acknowledging that she needed space and time is mature for Jack. And thankfully, a Paragon Shepherd respects her boundaries and allows her time to consider the possibilities. Before the end run, as the Normandy makes her way to the Omega 4 relay, an emotional Jack will come up to the captain's quarters. She's finally thought it through. We've arrived at the romance culmination scene.
Okay. Let's see what happens in the commander's quarters between Jack and Shepard.
Shepard,
I wasn't expecting you, Jack.
I was thinking about you, and maybe you're right. That I need.
It's all right. No more questions.
This is a complete 180 from the Renafuck, and I'm so happy that they did it that way. Yes, the one-shot scene was hot. Yes, it was passionate. But this is what Jack needs. The scene isn't about blurring the pain-pleasure lines. It isn't about giving some guy what he wants so he will leave you alone. It's about making love. Creating a physical bond after establishing security and safety. We just heard all the dialogue spoken in that scene. They don't need words tonight. Jack's walls are down, and she has tears openly on her face as Shepard hugs and holds her. It's a tight embrace, and she buries his face into his chest. It fades to black, and I would have been happy there. But it continues. Jack is seen being placed on the bed, being gently guided by Shepard. Arms above her head, we finally get to see the bro do his variation of the BioWare body crawl. But slowly, with no sense of urgency, he makes his way up her stomach and kisses her neck and lips while interlocking their hands. He's holding her hand as she cries during their lovemaking. Both hands move up to cup her face and more sweet kisses while Jack's hands run up and down his back. I am overwhelmed by this romance. It has rocked me to my core and has been forever emblazoned on my mind for what a beautiful love scene can be. For Mass Effect 2's Jack and Commander Bro Shepard, I give it a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I agree. This romance is so good. I am a complete sap, so anytime people become better versions of themselves through love, or the love conquers all mentality, I do love to see it. Remember in the Dragon Age Origins Morrigan episode where I said that she needed healing from a female friendship? Well, I think Jack does her most healing with a Shepard romance. Everyone has hurt Jack, but no one has ever loved her. This is her chance at love. In the beginning of this scene, she's crying and they embrace. I absolutely love that they showed her getting some physical connection in the form of a hug, which to me is just another example of how the best romances in Mass Effect 2 are done. They showed true compassion, not just sexual attraction. Not only is it super romantic to be hugged that way, but being hugged actually reduces your cortisol levels, the stress hormone, and raises oxytocin, the calming hormone. It also strengthens feelings of connection, which is exactly what Jack is looking for. At her core, at this point in her story, she is still that scared little girl crying under her desk in her cell. She has been falling through the dark nothingness of space her whole life, and finally someone has caught her. she has a safety net now. I give this a 10 out of 10. I'm just sad my femshep couldn't romance her. Truly. And
Yeah.
you got some thoughts?
Oh, no,
I
it's
know you
just
got
like
some thoughts.
I do have lots of thoughts, and I agree. I mean, like normally sometimes the sex scenes are really good, but the romance isn't, or the romance is really good and the sex scene isn't. Miranda Garris. And it's just like this one does it. It really, really
This has
does it.
both.
Mm.
Yeah. And that, lovely listeners, is where we would usually end our show. But for this episode, we have a special guest. Someone whose favorite video game romance of all time is Jack. And that person is none other than my amazing co-host, Genesis. Welcome to the show, Genesis. Can you tell our audience your preferred name and pronouns?
If you don't know who I am by now, what the hell? But yes, I am Genesis and I use she, her pronouns. And it's why I start every show by saying I'm Genesis, the girl who, whatever I think of that day. Because pronouns, no matter what you choose for yourself, should be normalized.
Yeah, agreed. And to start things off, can you give us a little bit of your origin story about how you came to love Mass Effect?
Mass Effect. Yeah, that's been talked about on. That's been talked about a few different ways on a few different podcasts. But essentially, I was late to the game and started playing the original version of the game on the Xbox Game Pass back in May of 2021. And it will take more than 32 PSI to cleave me off of the side of this base now.
It's a testament to this story that all of us who played it when it first came out can still play it again as if we never have before, and how it can attract new people despite being over a decade old.
Yeah.
But we discussed a lot of things about Jack today. Did you learn anything new?
Yes, actually. And we've said this about every character that we've covered so far, that there's always something more to learn. But nothing major about her history was new to me this time around. But the only thing that I didn't know was that she was taken away when she was only 4. And that is horrible. Like, I remember Lex at 4. And I couldn't, no.
Yeah. My kid's turning 3 this year, so I'm not quite there, but I don't I know Jack's not a real person, but this kind of stuff happens to real people all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's disgusting and horrible. And also it's crazy just for Cerberus and lore because they're supposed to be like this human supremacy thing, and yet that's what they do to their fellow man as well, their fellow human.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't even seem accurate for them to be that bad, but they are. So Cerberus sucks dick. But I know we're gonna get into the big reason why you wanted to be here for Jack's episode as the guest. So the thing is there anything that would have brought more depth to this romance or anything we missed?
Yeah. And it's the main reason that I wanted to be at the interview today. Look, I'm aware that this is literally our podcast, and I could have said all that I'm about to say in the episode proper. But my personal experiences with the character are not canon. And they are not what everyone is going to feel. And that's what I feel that the interviews should be about. And it didn't feel right to say all of this in actual game discussion. So deep grounding breath. Let's get into my Jack story. I think that we can all agree that a majority of the changes made from the original trilogy to Legendary were great. Updated combat in Mass Effect 1, continuity between face uploads, and overall graphic updates. So pretty. One little graphic update and involves the Jack romance. My first 3 playthroughs were on the original trilogy version. I did 2 FemShep runs, and then I did my first Bro run, all on the original game. I did do the rent-a-fuck option just because, and then I loaded the save file and then did the full romance. Jack, to me, had one of the most impactful stories. Even as a FemShep, I connected with her. Parts of her story were my story. And who doesn't love a tatted up, tits out woman who swears like a sailor? I still wish that my FemShep could have romanced her, but then it would make the choice between Jack and Garrus too difficult. That's not what I'm here to talk about today. Today is the story of traumatic and tragic moments that have led me to where I am today. Just like Jack, I too am a survivor. Going through something horrific will change a person. I've talked a bit on this podcast about how all of my emotions come out of my eyes in the form of tears. I cry at sappy movies. I cry when I'm happy. I cry when I'm sad. I've cried at the peaks of pleasure, and I've cried in the moments of afterglow. For 2 years, I suffered through what I thought was love. I was conditioned to believe that sex was there for a man's enjoyment. I was taught that there was not really an option because I had said yes before. I believed that there was no way out because when I asked for help, when I went to those around me, all they saw was the smiling sociopath, and I must have misread the situation. And what I can see now is one of those fucked up little pieces of universal randomness. It was an adorable redhead named Steve that helped me get out. And even though we weren't together for too long, who knows where I would be today. After that ended, I got with my now husband. I know that it took a lot of personal development to be able to relearn how to express emotions, and for me to be able to really enjoy sex when I got there. When I got to the point where I truly trusted my partner, was in tune with my emotions, and was in tune with my own body, I cried. When I saw Jack go through the same thing, being pissed off at the world, having the thickest walls possible surrounding her heart, using hypersexuality as a defense mechanism, when we really just needed someone to show us what actual affection was, I broke. I know that Jack is not my lover of choice, but who I identify with as me. On the same hand, helping this digital person, this written character, someone who I can never meet in the real world, made it so she was my true bro canon. I am in the scenes with Jack. I am Jack, not Shepard. The main reason that I brought these stories up, and one of the main reasons that I fell in love with Jack, was that she too also cries when she gets to the commander's quarters. Her mascara is running down her face in the most beautifully tragic love-making scene I have ever experienced. I've been Jack. I know exactly what it feels like and exactly what is happening in the scene. The tears make the scene believable and beautiful. But remember the minor changes that I talked about between the original trilogy and Legendary? Well, it broke my heart to see that they changed a detail in Legendary. In the original, when Jack starts crying, her mascara is running down her face, and it stays there throughout the entire scene. Noticeable black streaks running down her face, showing everything that is happening in her mind. Even when Shepard is kissing her cheeks, it's still there. In Legendary Edition, they disappear. The only split second we see the tears is when she's lying in bed and the light hits her face just right, and you can see a wet sheen on her face. I don't know why, and I don't want to know why it was removed. It could have been that it wasn't supposed to be black tears in the original, and they fixed it. It could have been wanting to make the scene cleaner and gave her real tears. It could have been an oversight, and when they worked on graphics, they changed all tears to look the same and didn't think or have the time to go back and change those specific tears to the painful beauty they were. But in my personal opinion, taking away the makeup ruining tears made the scene less impactful and took away a part of what made this scene so unique.
Yeah, I had never noticed that until you pointed it out earlier this week, and I watched both scenes to compare, and it's such a noticeable difference. Like, I'm not sure why it changed either, but I definitely think it was the wrong move. I mean, she wears a crap ton of makeup, so, like, not only is that a more practical thing to happen, but it's also, like, it's much more visible than the plain tears in the new version that you barely see. Like, you can't tell that she's crying, which is a key part of this scene, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know why that happened either, but I completely agree with you, especially I mean, I don't have anything nearly as dark as Jack in my past, but I think most women have had some sort of trauma surrounding sex happen to them in their life.
Mm-hmm.
So I can relate on some level, and that's why when I first watched this full romance, because I've never actually played through the game Romancing Jack, but when I first watched it, I was like, "This is the most human romance," which maybe some people come to play this game for the alien romances, right? But,
Mm.
like, when I say human, I mean, like, she's literally crawling her way back to being a human again instead of just an experiment, and, like, she doesn't do that fully unless you romance her, and this scene, that culmination scene is why. It makes a lot more sense how much more balanced she is when you see her in 3 if you
Mm-hmm.
romance her as Shepard, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Um, and definitely we are going to cover her again in 3 because, you get not only the Citadel DLC date, but you do get another mission with her and things like that. And so we'll cover her again and we can talk more about it. But, it's the fact that she really does fall for you. And
Yeah.
on one of my bro runs, I broke up with her so that way I could get with Caden again, or get with Caden as a man. And she takes it surprisingly well. And like that also kind of hurt. I was like, I don't know how I feel about the fact that she's like, you know what? It didn't really work for me either. And I'm like, you're lying. I loved you. But we can get into all of that later. Oh, yeah. Jack to me is just amazing. And I'll post in the Discord the 2 different versions of the scene so that way people can see. Because like my background on Twitch, if you're watching live with us tonight, is what it looks like in the original trilogy. And then I'll post a comparison picture of what it looks like in the Legendary Edition.
Yeah. So as someone who's done multiple playthroughs, what makes you come back each time?
Garrus.
Yeah.
And
I
Rex.
mean,
Yeah. And Rex and Grunt and Jack and James and, well, fuck, dude, it's all of them. I think it's apparent at this point that it's been less than a year that I've been playing this game. And these digital people have wrecked and ruined and fixed and healed me. I just love it. And I'm forever grateful for what this decade-old video game has brought into my life. Both the original trilogy and the Legendary Edition.
Agreed. I don't know if I have a different view playing it since the beginning. Like, it's the same to me, even all these years later. It's just as impactful of a story to me as when I was 6 and my mom was reading us The Lord of the Rings, or when I was 11 and started reading Harry Potter, like those core stories that, like, became a part of who I am.
You
That's Mass
formed a
Effect 2.
core memory.
Yes, a core memory unlocked. Yeah, and that's all thanks to the great writers at BioWare, you know?
Hmm.
They're not the only studio that knows how to tell a good story, but man, they were one of the first.
Yeah.
But before we wrap up, is there anything you wanna plug, Jen?
Sure. I'll plug myself. Oh, I guess I can actually plug the Witcher Lorecast as well because I've been on their recent Patreon episodes.
Ooh.
So I think I've been on 3 of them now. We did Valentine's Day back in February, and that one was really fun because we talked about the Witcher romances. So if you want to hear my hot takes on that, go listen to the Happy Valentine's Day episode of the Witcher Lorecast. But if you like what you've heard tonight, please be sure to leave a review on iTunes or give us a rating on Spotify and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find me in our Two Girls, One Ship chat on the Robots Radio Discord channel, and come give us a follow on all the social medias and on Patreon at Two Girls, One Ship. Links to those are in the description.
Yeah, and I'm on the Robots Radio Discord as well. And also be sure to check out our live stream on Twitch and YouTube Fridays at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 7:30 p.m. Pacific Time. And we also have our own Two Girls, One Ship Discord where we can nerd out on all our favorite CGI'd significant others. So come join us there too. Links in the description as per usual. Our podcast episodes release on Mondays because you always need at least one good thing on a Monday. Check out the description. Once again, I'm telling you to check out the description.
Thanks for listening. And remember,
Beauty is in the eye of the controller.
yay!
Yeah. Sorry if everyone got depression, but we have real shit to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel kind of bad. Like, I almost started crying again.
Your voice
Oh.
sounds like you crying when you're close to crying.
Yeah.
But it's a beautiful sound. I am also a crier. That kind of started happening after I had a kid, though. I don't know. When I was a teenager, I was so stoic, and I was like, "Oh, I never cry." My mom's very emotional. She cries all the time for no reason. And so I was always proud that I didn't, but now I'm just like, that's a stupid thing to be proud of. Like, you should show your emotions,
Yep.
But yeah. Anyone else shocked about the Jack? I don't know where she is on that way, I think. No, this way. The Jack mascara situation. I don't know. It's still wild to me. Like, I had no idea. I'm like, you guys had time to freaking make a new tally face, but you couldn't keep the same tears you already had. I don't know.
Yeah, because I was talking with Cloudy about it. Okay, here, V, I'll get your opinion on this.
Sure.
Do
I have opinions.
You do. And
Hi, Mary.
hi, Mary.
He's been here the whole time. Now all my legs are so asleep.
I don't know where Maya ran off to.
Okay.
Do you think Turians cry?
Hmm. Um, I don't I don't know. I don't think they would, just knowing but, I mean, this is all fantasy, but, I mean, just knowing what I know of, reptiles, uh, which is what they're based off of. I know people always joke that they're like birds, but they're not really birds. But reptiles, some of them don't have eyelids, so they have to lick their eyes to keep them wet. I mean, that's really why we cry,
Mm-hmm.
is to keep our eyes wet. But most reptiles have like the inner eyelid. So I kind of wonder if they just have that. And I've okay, this is super nerdy, but like I've read a few Mass Effect fan fictions, right? And a lot of them, when they're talking about Garrus, usually use his subharmonics as a way to convey his emotions. And I kind of really like that idea
Mm.
that like Turians communicate almost with their subharmonics, and maybe they would keen a little bit, like make
Aw.
a sad sound versus show a sadness like on your face, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That's how I would think. So I don't think they would cry.
Okay.
I don't know.
See, I went with they have the they have the physical capability to form tears as like a natural reactant to I just got dirt in my eyes. I need to flush out this thing.
Hmm.
But that it is very much a human response to emotion that actually makes you cry based on an emotional reason.
Yeah.
But then it was pointed out to me that Thane cries, obviously, because I talked about it. And then Liara cries in the Shadow Broker DLC. And it's like, why do some aliens cry and others don't?
I don't know. It doesn't make any sense.
Mm-mm.
I think it's just because they needed to personify these aliens in a way that we easily can understand without having some weird like narrative arc where they like info dumped all this physiological information about these new species. So
Yeah.
instead they're like, just make them cry.
Yeah. And I guess Asari and Drell have more humanoid faces than Turians
Mm.
do.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Drell are supposed to be like reptiles as well. So I kind of would go with the same. I mean, you can see his second eyelid when he blinks sometimes.
Mhm.
So they legit have that. I don't really know why he would need to cry at that point, but
And I thought
it's
Turians were
cute.
canonically avian species.
Well, I think they're supposed to be like something between dinosaurs and birds.
Mm.
So they're not really birds, but they do have
Samurai
like because
chicken.
dinosaurs had eggs, you know. Yeah, they did say that when a Turian woman is pregnant, she has a yolk in her belly rather than a placenta. Yeah, that is for real. I swear to God.
Okay, where is this? Where did
um,
that come up? Because if your
that
source
was
is
like
AO3, then I'm like, no.
I've seen that on pretty authentic sources, but I don't have them at the ready right now. This
Okay.
was a long time ago that I read that. But yeah, they have a yolk. And this is hilarious to me because the writers even went so far as to be like when they give birth, because they give birth to live young, obviously if they have a yolk inside their what I assume to be a uterus. It's kind of weird combination between like mammals and eggs, you know.
Okay.
They don't have mammary glands, so they don't produce milk, so they gotta, like, chew up their food and, like, bird feed their babies, and I'm just imagining Garrus just, like, chewing some spinach or some shit. I don't even know what they would eat.
Oh.
Dextro amino shit. Yeah, I was like, "That's a chuckle right there." Uh, that would be shocking, like, say and I think Garrus would be smart enough to not try that on any, like, Krogan children he would adopt with Shepard. But that'd be hilarious. 'Cause
No.
Krogans, they changed the way they gave birth between, like, the original trilogy and Andromeda, I think, because they never really talked about it until you were with, what's her name? Oh my gosh, I can't remember her name. They called her Eve. I can't remember her actual name.
Lady
But,
Bakara.
hmm?
Bakara.
Yeah, Bakara. They talked about it like as if they give birth to live young, but then in Andromeda they talk about clutches of eggs, and you see them hatch out of eggs. If you do some Krogan quests with
Mm.
Kesh, yeah, she has some babies. So I'm like, I guess they come out of eggs too, but they're like turtles, so that makes sense. Oh, Maya, hello. The thing that's sad about that, I mean, we already know that about Krogans, but like most of those kids aren't going to survive. 'Cause, you know, in nature, you either have like one highly devoted offspring that you dedicate a lot of resources to, or you have a shit ton of offspring that you don't dedicate pretty much any resources to because you're just throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping one of them is viable. And I guess
Yeah.
that's how Krogans do it.
And Solarians fall somewhere in the middle, I feel like.
Yeah. They're all very scientific. It's actually, I mean, they're supposed to be like amphibians, I suppose. But with reptiles, it's very interesting because you can determine the sex of the offspring based on the heat that their eggs are kept at. I don't know exactly what the temperatures are because they vary from species, but I think it's warmer makes males, or maybe it's cooler. I cannot remember because I
Yeah.
do not breed reptiles. But I'm assuming the Solarians, I think they talk about that in one of the games where they
Mm-hmm.
like measure out because they need an equal amount. It's very interesting.
Yeah. They talk about that. I remember there are missions in 3,
Yeah.
where you have to go and collect heating coils, for a
Yeah,
Solarian.
to incubate.
And then I finally unlocked a codex entry that I had never gotten before in Mass Effect 1.
Ooh.
Because I played as an engineer for the first time. So it's on Vermeer. And there are things you don't have your squad with you. So Garrus can't go and unlock everything for you like I normally have. So I played as an engineer specifically so that way I could find out what happens when you open up the damn communications relay in the tent on Vermeer. And you get,
Oh yeah.
yeah, you get
I forgot
a
about that.
Solarian sexuality codex entry.
Now that is something worth playing as an engineer for, maybe.
Dude, it
I don't know.
sucks. It sucks.
I can't do. I'm infiltrator all the way. I'm a sneaky.
Swear to God, you and
I'm not. I
Cloudy.
never play sneaky. I'm always play like the rogue, the assassin, the infiltrator character, but then when I'm actually fighting, I'm the first one running in there, just like not play. I have no strategy when it comes to fighting ever in a game. I'm a button smasher.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Button masher, whatever.
Smasher. Both are good.
It doesn't matter. It's both. Whatever button I need to push the fastest and the most so that the other person dies first.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. Well,
I feel like that was actually
hope
kind of a
everyone-
short episode. Like even
Dude,
though
I was like, this is gonna be one of our longer ones. What? We got to 21 pages.
2 of them are your
notes and shit.
references pages though. It's only
No,
9.
I'm at we have 23 pages. 20 Oh yeah, sorry, 20 pages. No, 19 pages. Shit. Math.
Ooh, do you think that we should start posting our scripts now that we have dedicated channels to each of our previous episode people?
I mean, we didn't have any tangents. Apollo is correct.
I know, we were so focused on the trauma that is Jack, we didn't tangent at all.
It didn't feel appropriate to be silly in this episode because her story's so sad.
Yeah.
I love her so much. I wish she was real. I would give her a big old hug. Oh, you know what I also read when I was researching for this episode? Like her outfit in 2 apparently is supposed to be like some kind of jury-rigged chest binder to keep her boobies flat. Because when I was watching the full romance on Legendary Edition, we get to 3, I'm like, I never noticed how much bigger her boobs are in 3. Did they do her like they did Ashley and kind of just sex her up a bit? And the explanation was that no, her little chest strappies were supposed to keep her boobs down because she didn't want that kind of attention in the prison. But also, only her nip noops are really covered by that. So I don't really know how that makes it less attention. I mean, I don't know. I kind of read it as just her hypersexuality, like
Yeah.
that, and to display her tattoos the best. I didn't, but apparently people have said that was supposed to be a chest binder thing. Like it's the world's worst chest binder. Like that looks so painful.
Not only that, but it doesn't really do that because, and I didn't really notice her tits being that much bigger in 3 in comparison. They looked pretty much the same size to me.
They look smaller to me in the first game or the second game, sorry. But they're not huge in comparison, but they do look bigger.
Mm,
And you can always see her nipples, so she's not wearing a bra in the
yeah.
third game. And I'm just like, is it always cold, guys, or were you just like having fun with that animation?
Or did she just choose the outfit that it's like that? You know, maybe she's wearing that binder underneath that. And so, because even in the
Oh,
picture
maybe.
that's right, like your face is right in her tits and you can see that little,
Yeah. Well, I will say that in the actual game, her boobs are not this prominent in that scene. They are flatter. So
yeah.
like the chest bindy bit kind of seems to be accurate for that. But I also some people were just like boobs and they made her boobs bigger for 3. Oh Maya. I don't know. Either way, it's fine. I love Jack.
Me too.
Here's a continuity thing that I had an issue with.
Oh no.
So she's got a
Okay.
fully shaved head, right?
Mm-hmm.
Timeline, if I'm not mistaken, it's been 6 months since the end of 2 into 3.
Mm-hmm.
Why is her hair so long?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of supplements is she on? Because I would like to know how she grew freaking like a foot and a half of hair in 6 months.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense. This is like when NASA sent up 100 tampons for that one woman astronaut for a week because they didn't know how many tampons women use. It's like the men who did that animation. They're like, well, how fast does girl hair grow? I don't know. Really fast?
Oh,
Maybe because they don't know extensions are a thing.
Apollo brought a good point. 6 months from 2 to 3, but how long from start of 3 until you get to Grissom Academy? But even
I just have to say that I think it's not that long because of how fast like
oh, we do know.
FTL travel is. But either way, it's not enough time for her to grow that much hair. That much hair is like 2 years worth of length.
Oh yeah.
So there's no way the Reapers attacked Earth and then like 2 years later we still attacking everyone.
And we do know that the events of Mass Effect, including the 2 years that Shepard is dead, is less than 4 years total time from the start of Mass Effect 1 until the end.
Well, because it's 2183 in the first game, 2185 in the second game, and 2186 in the third game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not exactly sure of the months, but I think the whole Reaper invasion is only like 9 months long or something. Like it's not very long.
Mm-hmm.
So I just had a problem with it. I mean, I'm not saying her hairstyle wasn't cool, but it just didn't make sense to me. She should have had. It would have been hilarious if they gave her like an awkward in between growth phase for the all of Mass Effect 3.
I would have hated that though.
Yeah.
But yeah,
maybe they have some sort of like serum though. Like we have no idea. I'm sure they could come up with a reason.
Or Yuri says that they're extensions.
Yeah, maybe it does make her hair grow super fast. That would to me also mean that she has like talons, unless she's like on top of trimming her nails and shit. I don't know.
Yeah. I still like it as a plot hole though.
Is really fast.
Oh my god.
Well, because that'd probably like grow really fast.
Maybe she has it lasered.
Maybe.
That's
Smart.
why all the women in Mass Effect don't have any random body hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She seems like a nail biter to me. That's fair, you're a cat.
Ooh.
Yeah. No, I figured they maybe she could have used extensions. It just after 6 months, she's only gonna have, like, 3 inches of hair, so I don't it'd be really difficult to put extensions in that.
Mm.
Unless she's one of those people who, like, hair genuinely grows faster. At the most, though, like, 6 inches of hair. Like, that's not your hair grows, like, centimeters a time every month. Like, it's very slow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that was just my grievance. So, hopefully, their
No, it's
continuity
something
gets
that
better
I never
next
even
game.
thought of. I love it.
I thought about it because when I was watching the whole Legendary Edition, it rolls straight into it, and
Mhm.
so it's just shocking to see how different her hair looks. I guess
Yeah.
if you're playing it, like, you have life in between and stuff, so
She uses her
yeah.
biotic powers.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe you can have, like, little Mass Effect field scalp massages that, like
It's part of my nightly
make
skin routine, Shepard.
yeah, like her skincare routine. There's probably, like, whole spas devoted to, like, biotic massage.
Yes, like I mean, we already know that mechanically biotic or mechanically Mass Effect fields can get small enough to use in a
To the
toothbrush.
toothbrush.
Why
Yeah.
not? Why not a
Other
scalp massage?
applications.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh, drink to that one. That'd be interesting. I'll try anything once.
Yeah. I'm gonna blame Morden Solis on that one. He's the one who gave everyone that idea.
Okay, so I found out that there is rare Morden Jack dialogue in Mass Effect 3. Now, yes, it was a stupid Big Dan video, but I was like, damn it, how does he find this shit before I do?
Because all he does is play games.
It's true.
He's paid to do it.
Hmm.
We have other things.
Yes. But there, Jack. Okay, so I didn't know that you could go to in 3. You can go to Tachanka before Grissom Academy, so you can cure or not cure genophage before you go and rescue Jack from Grissom. I'm too afraid that Jack is going to die, so I always go and save her first. And I don't want Morden to die, so I always try and push that until it's far out until I can.
Yeah, yeah. I play that the same way.
If Morden is gone before you go and see Jack, Jack will say, "Oh, I'm going to miss that guy. He had really good sex advice."
Wow, that's funny. I didn't know that, because I literally play it the same way.
Yeah.
Oh my god. That scared me. Sorry. I hit my mic.
It's not a
Yeah,
mod.
I will
It's
always
just
warn
legit
Morgan.
thing that you should be able to do on console.
Mhm. It's just one of those, like, situationally dependent dialogue tree thingies. Dialogue bits.
Oh, but you do have to
Banter.
romance her. She has to be a romanced Jack
Oh,
on
to
a
say
bro
that?
run.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Well, that's all, folks.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh my god, it's only 8:45. All right. Well, maybe I'll
For
start
you.
editing this episode tonight. Oh,
Yeah.
just something for you to be aware of and for people on stream, and I might actually put I'll talk about it on Discord. For the next 2 weeks, our night auditor is having a surgery. And so there's nobody to work the 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. shift that knows how to do the accounting side of my job. So that means my schedule is changing to where I'm working 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. So I'm not going to be as active as I normally am on Discord. And while it shouldn't affect the podcast at all because I get Thursday, Friday off now, instead of my normal Saturday, Sunday, it does mean that
Wait, is this forever?
no, for the next 2 weeks.
Oh, just 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
You said that. Sorry.
No, it's okay. So it just means that I'm gonna be sleepy and not on Discord as much.
That's okay. I won't be on Discord any more than I already am because I forget to check it a lot to make up for you not being on there.
Yeah. And
Sorry. I swear I like everybody. I just I'm an introvert and it's a lot to check all the messaging things.
yeah. Oh my god. Since we've started tonight, I already have 9 new DMs to go through. Okay, yeah, I should probably get on that. And
DMs.
direct messages. I have
On Discord?
uh-huh.
On Discord?
Uh-huh.
Oh. I don't
I
know.
got-
You're the only one who messages me.
I got DMs from lots of people's. Yeah. So,
Well,
go
I'm
check
sorry you have to
those.
work at night.
Yeah, it's gonna fucking suck.
I've worked night many a time, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
I am a diurnal creature.
I'm let me wake up at like 9 a.m. in the morning, roll into work at 10, and then go home at 3. Because fuck work, I don't like
That
it
sounds
anymore.
nice.
I know, right? Let me live my best life.
Yeah.
But I can't yet because I like money.
Me too. I'm just lucky I work remote. So I get to start and stop 8 hours later, but I can start whenever I want, kind of.
Mm,
But I just always start at like 7 a.m. and then stop at 3.
7 to 3 is a decent shift.
Yeah. That's what I'm used to. I used to do 6 to 2-ish, but then I stopped because I like sleep.
That's awesome. All right, my dear, you go get sleep, and I'll see you next week where we talk about Liara, Kelly, and the Vermeer survivor.
Is it also the wrap up?
Yeah, kind of,
Or is
because
that-
it all depends on how much there is to talk about with Liara and Kelly. I watched the Kelly scene for the first time the other night. I was like, damn, girl, you got some moves.
You know what I realized so it's not about Kelly, but it's about Trainer. Trainer's voice actress is the female British voice actress for your Dragon Age Inquisition character.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I thought the
They're
voice
just all
sounded
over the place.
familiar, but I was just like, I don't know where I know this from. But it's just clips I've watched with Iron Bull romances.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't wait for you to actually play it so you can experience it.
I'm almost there. I am in Act 3 of Dragon Age 2.
I have to say, Dragon Age 2 is my least favorite Dragon Age. So I've only played it like once, and that was when it first came out. So I don't really remember much of the story. I'm going to have to really refresh my memory when we get there.
I'm having fun. But I'm not going to tell you anything because you're going to hate me.
Why?
Why? Because I broke up with Isabella and let Anders move into my house.
Why did you pick Anders?
Why? Because
I
he's
don't hate you. I just don't understand.
Because he's the only one so far that said, yes, I would like to be in a relationship with you, Hawk. And he likes cats. And he rescues...
You know how it ends?
Sort of, yes. And I know that he does a very bad thing and that I'm not going to like him after that. But am I supposed to pick the depressive elf boy who told my sister she should go kill herself? Am I supposed to pick...
There's no good romance options in 2, really. Meryl, but she's kind of annoying.
Yeah, Meryl's itchy and twitchy and anxiety filled, and I can't. Not for me.
I picked Fenris because I thought I still liked those emo boys when I was like 19 when I played that game. I would not pick Fenris now. I mean, I want to protect him. Like, I think he deserves freedom, but I don't want to romance him.
Yeah.
I watched it recently and I was like, what the heck? I
Yeah.
liked this? Pfft, no. I still love Alistair.
His
and I
voice
still,
actor, oh my god, on point. I love
I think
him.
that's why I picked him. His voice is,
I
plus
was
he's an elf.
tempted.
I'm a complete elf simp.
I was tempted to pick him because he's also the voice actor for Final Fantasy XIII's Balthazar. And that man, holy Jeebus. Yes, please. I wish romance was an option in Final Fantasy games. But yeah. So I was disappointed that he said he wanted to murder my sister. And I was like, nope.
You don't
Yeah,
remember
no.
that? He's full of anger. He's a lot like Jack. He's full of trauma and anger. But, I mean, you don't have to like him.
You don't have to like him to
he
love
also,
him.
I mean, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay, we'll get there. What's next after this game? Cyberpunk?
Cyberpunk, yes.
Yeah, we're going to do Cyberpunk next.
And we have guests for
And
Judy
Anders as
and
an
Pan Am.
Awakening, yeah. Yuri Cat, same Anders. He goes through a big change, though, in Dragon Age 2. He went from being, like, Alistair stand-in in Awakening to, like, dickweed in Dragon Age 2. The only redeeming quality about him is he likes cats as much as I do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Kittens. Okay. Okay, goodbye.
Okay, goodbye.
And